We were just 3 people on the road coming to a new life in Victoria. I could hear a noise. It almost sounded like a grader on a bare highway. Before I knew it, Brett was running towards me, yelling, "Get back in your car, Mom, get back in your car." Everything was clanging and banging around me. I could hear like windows smashing, and my car was full of mud and rocks and bits of timber. You know, we realized that Brett had likely been taken away in the slide. So.
5 people died on Highway 99 in British Columbia, killed by a landslide called a force of nature. But we now know what triggered that cataclysmic crash that paralyzed a province and destroyed families.
5 people lost their lives that day because of an incident that could have been prevented.
They are sometimes called logging roads and resource roads, stretching across Canada's forests and backcountry, a network more than 1.5 million kilometers long. Routes with varying degrees of maintenance and inspection. They can be dangerous to drivers anywhere, but add the steep slopes in British Columbia and the landscape can turn deadly with almost no warning. November 15, 2021, much of British Columbia hit with a 3rd day of relentless rain. Towns underwater, highways washed out, dramatic rescues underway, catastrophes exacerbated by a changing climate. The BC government in crisis mode.
Landslides, as you know, are unpredictable and they happen.
Brett Diedericks had just turned 36. That morning, Diedericks, his wife Madison, and his mum Brenda set out from Kamloops to Victoria. They were on Highway 99, the one route in and out of the Lower Mainland. At 11 a.m., a landslide stopped traffic here. Then, a second slide hit. It started 600 meters above the highway.
And I was calling for help, and all of a sudden there was somebody pulling my door open, and at the time I thought it might have been Brett. And I realized that it was just a young guy covered from head to toe in mud.
The slide likely took less than a minute. Brett Diedericks' body has never been found.
Why were we allowed to be on that highway that day?
The province's own images, this one from 2005, show a network of logging roads above Highway 99. Right there is where the 2021 slide began. In BC, logging companies are responsible for decommissioning logging roads. Once that's done, the responsibility for the road lies with the province.
A role has been played in this in how we've altered the landscape.
Calvin Van Buskirk is an engineer. He's investigated resource roads and landslides for decades. And he says the only way to know if a road has been decommissioned properly is to climb up. So that's what we do.
Basically, we look for evidence of surface or subsurface water flows.
We see a rotting bridge. Van Buskirk estimates dates back to the 1960s. There is evidence of several smaller landslides. One bent this culvert.
Is this dangerous as it is now?
It could be if we still have water that looks like coming down the road up here. So another chunk of this road could collapse in the right storm condition and the right weather conditions. So basically we're standing right above it, like we're a meter away from what was the road. The road was.
This was road.
Yeah, the road was out there and out to that edge there, so we've lost probably 2.5 to possibly as much as 4 meters of road surface has disappeared. The road had not been deactivated. It was more or less left in a state of maybe seasonal deactivation or temporary deactivation.
And the province has been warned over and over. In 2015, the Forest Practices Board called the Forestry Ministry's information on Forest Service roads inconsistent and inaccurate. And in 2020, the Auditor General said the ministry did not manage safety and environmental risks, increasing risks to road users. CBC News reached out to each province and territory to count up all the resource roads across the country. They don't all count them the same way. Some distinguished logging roads from other industries. We counted an uncertain network, enough to wrap around the planet 37 times. British Columbia and Quebec have the most. In Quebec, resource roads have led to tragedy. George He was a nurse serving remote Indigenous communities. In November 2019, he was following Google Maps. The route took him down a logging road and onto this bridge. His vehicle suspended, he managed to climb out and walk 17 kilometers before freezing to death.
C'est un décès qui aurait pu être évité.
His death could have been avoided, his friend Kevin Lebrec told Radio-Canada.
Non, c'est pas acceptable que ça arrive.
It's not acceptable that this happened now, here, he says. We have the means to avoid deaths like this.
Des décès comme ça.
The status of the roads are extremely bad in most areas of Quebec.
Sylvain Joutras studies resource roads and the environment.
We took the time to go on these roads and we just discovered that it's a major issue. No one knows exactly how much there is through the whole province. I'm very concerned about the fact that we are leaving to the next generation a big problem.
The province of Quebec says its resource roads are vital and well regulated. British Columbia told us it is working towards improving Forest Service road management and standards. The province recently hired experts to investigate the road network above the slide.
And there is some car parts down right on close to the edge of the river.
It feels heavy standing here.
It does. Yeah, it sure does. It feels eerie. It feels like something being in a place where this shouldn't have happened. You know, it's something that could have been prevented.
Calvin Van Buskirk says high-risk areas across BC should be surveyed and fixed soon.
Until we do that, these types of events, unfortunately, should be expected, and not only expected, but expected to increase in frequency and potential magnitude as a result of climate issues.
That's scary.
Yep, it sure is.
You know, since that time, I have felt very angry because the province needs to take action. Like, that's just one logging road in a province that is logged continuously, nonstop. Like, the thought of how many logging roads are out there that could cause the same kind of devastation it just boggles my mind to think that action hasn't already been taken.
It's unclear when or if the RCMP will try again to search for Brett Diederik's body.
You know what? You know, he's part of the mountain now.
A resting place both peaceful and haunting.
And Lindsay, it seems that there are some legal developments related to that landslide.
Yeah, there's a Vancouver litigation lawyer launching a class action lawsuit on behalf of the people who were trapped on Highway 99. The statement of claim alleges the province was negligent in keeping the road open that day, given what it knew or what it should have known about the logging roads above the highway. It's expected there will be a certification hearing sometime in April. And the main plaintiff in that case is actually, Adrienne, a 3-year-old girl. Both her parents died in the slide, and right now she's being cared for by a relative. We wanted to interview BC's Forest Minister about the road, and we were told today that she couldn't answer questions about what happened on Highway 99 because of the ongoing court case.
All right, interesting. Thank you, Lindsay Duncombe in Vancouver.